Hello and welcome back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm Bess Hawthorne and I'm so excited you're joining me today. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Hero Merkle. She is a recent NSA grad. She graduated last year. She's in her early 20s and she is doing lots of amazing things right now. In the past, she's done flower arranging, Heroic Flowers, which changed names to Astrophil Floristry, was her business where she created weekly arrangements and did big events, including weddings and graduations, things like that. Recently, she is moving into catering, and she is catering for NSA, New St. Andrews College, doing some of their auxiliary events, which are a little bit smaller than the mass scale events, but they're still pretty big because NSA is growing. She caters their soup nights, faculty lunches, and she bakes for Sword and Shovel, which is their bookstore and coffee shop. She's also done a rehearsal dinner. So we are going to hear all kinds of tips from her about big scale cooking and cleanup, organization, flower arranging, all kinds of really cool stuff. So stay tuned and welcome, Hero.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I am so excited you're here. She is my daughter-in-law's sister, for anyone keeping up. Belle, my daughter-in-law who lives here in Moscow, is her older sister. I guess you're the last.
Fourth.
No, you're
Judah's
fourth. Judah's younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
basically last, though.
On the lower end. So she's still at home and not married. What else are you doing? You're living
I'm living the life.
Graduated single life.
Yes, it's a party.
It is a party. That's fun. Okay, well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, you covered it all. I really only started catering in the last year. So it's all new for me. I'm learning so much though. So I'm no expert.
And you're cooking in the commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Which makes it easier, I guess, or is it
so
harder
much
because you're
easier.
away from your home kitchen?
No, it's amazing. They have the big commercial dishwasher, so that
I want
in
one
and of
those
itself.
in my house.
I know, me too.
What is it, done in 2 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I have helped with events there numerous times, and I just can't stand dishes everywhere. So if that dishwasher's not running, I'm throwing something in and then racing to the next task. But the dishwasher makes it pretty easy on me.
Yeah,
it's done in 2 minutes, and then you race over and switch it out. If only the home dishwasher worked so fast.
I know.
What is their fast cycle? An hour?
I don't even know why.
It's like quick cycle.
Can we not
hour.
do it fast?
Right. What's so special about the commercial? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, well, moving on, let's talk a little bit first about flower arranging, because that is what you did through high school. When did you start?
Mm-hmm. I think I started the summer before my senior year. Okay. So, yeah, but in high school, though, yeah.
And then through college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What made you go towards that, towards flower arranging? Were you just natural at it and just kind of have a gift?
I don't think so.
I think she is very talented at it. She has beautiful arrangements, but
I got better at it. I started because Mom was doing NSA events. So she would have people to our house all the time for parties, and she would take us to this local cutting garden just outside of town, which is just amazing. It's like $10 for a bucket, and you can fit so many flowers in there for so cheap. So we would all go to the cutting garden, get a couple buckets, and then arrange them. And I just loved that and started doing it more. And that was really why I could take off with an actual business, was because I could source flowers locally for so cheap. Mm-hmm. So I did that the summer before my senior year. And then, it was really taking off. So I decided to start ordering flowers. And that's when I became more official and had to get my resale license and everything. But it was a learning curve for sure. I had to learn a lot of things.
Where do you order flowers?
There's a couple places. I landed on Skyline, which is, I think it's based out of Seattle. No, Spokane. There's a location in Spokane. But they source flowers from all over the place.
And is that something you have to have a license to do?
Yeah.
I would imagine, because they just don't want anybody doing it. They have to have a business.
You have to have, I think it's the resale license. So that was what got me into it. And then there were a couple other places that I ordered from, but Skyline was the best and the cheapest. So,
and it's funny, you did really large scale events at times, had loads of flowers in your house. I remember some stories about some of the flowers, well, lots of flowers, piles of flowers being in buckets in the entry hall, like the little coat room off to the side, and there being frozen water in the bottom when you woke up.
Yes, I was just, in fact, thinking about that. It still kind of makes me nervous to stay. I'm like, oh my word. Because I had ordered, it was for a wedding, and I'd ordered, like hundreds of dollars worth of flowers. Yes. I mean, this is a lot. And I put them all in the entryway because it stays chilly in there because it's not insulated.
Yeah, it's a natural refrigerator.
Yeah, which is perfect until we get into, negative degrees outside.
and so your house is 100 years old?
Yeah, well.
It's in the historic district.
Yeah, I think almost, more than 100. Yeah.
So you would think, obviously, it's an inside room, but there's a door to it. So if it was closed, then it's not getting the heat from the rest of the house. Exactly. And the insulation isn't the same as it is now. All those sorts of things.
Not at all. Yeah. So it gets freezing, quite literally freezing in there. And that night, it was very lucky because I was planning to ski the next day. We were going to go on a ski trip. And so I'd gotten all the flowers into buckets, put them in the entryway. And then the next morning, I was like, I think I probably shouldn't. And I think I better stay home just so I can kind of get some work done on these flowers because I think the wedding was the next day. So I stayed home to kind of get on top of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even checked. I would have just left.
Yeah, they're fine in the cooler.
Yeah, in the cooler. And then I come in.
And the freezer.
They are frozen. Like the buckets are frozen water. And I mean, I was like, they're all dead. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
And luckily, I still don't know how. Like, I think God protected them. I think there was some miracle.
He had mercy.
Yeah, because there's no reason for them to have lived, but they did. I lost some, but I had it plenty to get me through, and they were lovely. And I don't know how, but that's the nice thing about wedding flowers, though, is that you don't need them to last for the week. If you sell someone a bouquet for their table, it's like, that centerpiece shouldn't die in 24 hours.
Right.
With a wedding, it's a little bit more like you actually want them to be at their fullest when the wedding happens.
So you're not blooming a day or two later.
Yeah, you want them to be as open as possible. So they were.
They really were. Didn't you do something you obviously did something to thaw out the bottoms of the bucket. What did you do? I can't remember. I just
rinsed them in hot water and pulled all the flowers out. And then I think I put them in warm water and was like, just spray.
And they recovered.
Yeah, they did.
Tips on flower arranging. We're going to jump into that. This story does remind me of a time that I was hosting a bridal shower. I think it was for my youngest sister, Lydia. And I'd gone to the grocery store and bought beautiful tulips. I mean, they were absolutely gorgeous. It was spring. And I brought them home, stuck them in glasses of water to arrange the next morning before the shower. And I did. And I knew I'd worked at a florist when I was a teenager, mostly doing deliveries. I didn't get into all of the flower arranging. Yeah. So I'm still learning tips, and I cannot wait to hear all of your ideas. But yes, I did lots of deliveries of flowers and saw beautiful arrangements made. And occasionally I did help if there wasn't a delivery ready to go out. And mostly that involved cutting. And she taught me to cut, of course, at an angle, 45-degree angle. And she liked it under running water, or maybe in as soon as you cut, you stick in water because they're drinking something up right away. Well, the next day I did that. I cut them at an angle, put them right in water right away. And by the time the shower happened, they were just the saddest little flowers you ever saw. They were not pretty. They were just droopy tulips. They were just the worst. And I could not figure out what happened. And I realized later the mistake that I had made was that I bought them at the grocery store. Of course, I took them out of water, carried them all the way home. After shopping, unloading, finally I get them into water. I didn't cut them right away. I just let them sit overnight without any cut or any fresh cut. And so I think that they sat there not getting any water the whole entire night. Like they were closed on the bottom. Is that your experience? Like when you get flowers, do you cut them fresh before putting them in water, or was that just my one experience?
No. I mean, I would always cut them right away. It just helps. I think you can get away with it, but it's always so sad when you do go buy a bunch of flowers and you stuff them in a vase thinking it'll be fine, and then you come back and if you do it with roses, it's like all the petals are now falling off, and with tulips
they're not able to get any water. They're closed somehow on the bottom.
I mean, they're not all the way closed. It's just that for the most part the fresh cut is what kind of like allows the water to seep in. And if you do it diagonally, there's more surface area, so it soaks in a lot faster.
Okay.
And with tulips, I just have noticed this from grocery stores, but they're kind of like stiffer at the very bottom, and they leave all the leaves on too. So if you just put them in water, it's like there's so much greenery that's still on there that the water's going to, if you peel off as many leaves as you don't want and then snip them and put them in the vase, then it's also not going to make the water all like murky right away. So
that's a good tip.
Grocery store flowers, I think you can get fantastic ones, like here at Safeway. I love Safeway. Like they sometimes have a lot of really good ones, but I always look and make sure, because you buy what you think are some pretty roses, and then you open it up and realize like, oh, they're all actually kind of already wilted or
brown on the edges.
Yeah. Or sometimes like they'll even be snapped and you just couldn't tell because it was inside of the wrapping. So I always look at them, examine them.
You examine them.
Yeah.
The Christmas tree is the same way. When you think about cutting the base of a Christmas tree, if you get a fresh tree, a live tree from anywhere, I guess you chopped it down in the woods, or if you bought it at your local wherever. In Texarkana, where I moved from, they had a tree farm, but also Lowe's, Home Depot. There were lots of places that sold trees. But you were always supposed to fresh cut it when you get home. Or maybe, I guess you could do notches. I think they suggested just taking we always had a chainsaw. Does everybody have a chainsaw? Just saw some
in Idaho.
Or in Idaho. Just take a chainsaw. But, it could be just what are those things called? The little hand tool. Anyway, and do a fresh cut. Our first Christmas to get a live tree. Did we do this or know this? No. This is a very similar moment to my tulips, except on a larger scale. We brought our tree home after, I'm sure, the bottom had kind of closed up. The sap comes out and it kind of dries, and without a fresh cut, you're getting a little bit of water, but not much ability to drink, I guess. That was the deadest tree we have ever had. So we brought it home from Lowe's, let's just say. I think it was somewhere like that, and had a bunch of little kids, 4 at the time, and put it in our living room and watered it. And surely I didn't water it over and over and over because it wasn't drinking water. But I was a young mom and busy and hadn't had a live tree in my house. So didn't pay much attention to it. By Christmas, when my in-laws came, it was so dead. It was brown, and needles were, if you touched it, they were raining off the tree. And they were the type of needle that was really, really sharp, like literally would stab you cause blood. They were saints. And before we all got up the next morning, they were real early risers. They had taken it outside and cleaned everything up. I think they had to wear gloves.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Because it was just so brittle and anyway.
Yeah.
But another moment of realizing you're supposed to cut. Yeah. Give a fresh cut to the things you bring in your house.
Well, at least you were watering it. See, we've had crispy trees just because we
not watered.
Couldn't be bothered to put some water in. Water helps.
Water helps, yes. There should be a way to just do an auto drip from a faucet somewhere.
My mom has this dream that she wants to, maybe I'll misrepresent the idea, but get those like trumpets with sort of the twirl that they loop around and then open up.
Yes.
And she wants to figure out a way to stuff one of those into the tree. So you can just pour the water in through the big opening and have it decant into the... I don't see that working.
This is a genius idea.
In my opinion, I'm like, I think then we'd have a trumpet sticking out of the Christmas tree.
Which could be festive.
Maybe it would work. I don't know.
If anyone could come up with it, your mom could.
Yeah, she could.
Her mom is Becca Merkle, otherwise known as Rebecca Merkle, who does design all kinds of cool things.
Yeah, so she could make it work.
She could make it work. We should put her on this. This could solve lots of problems at Christmas time. Okay, what other tips would you give the person who is bringing flowers into their house, whether it's from a flower garden or grocery store or whatever, and trying to make an arrangement for their table and make it beautiful? Maybe they don't have much skills at it, like they're not trained to do it. They're just trying to figure it out. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think the two big things are, one, the vase, and two, actually snipping the stems of the flowers so that they're the right size for the vase. Because I think a lot of people will just grab their roses, put it in a jar or whatever they have, and then, they're just sticking out at the top. And I think you want to think about the shape of the vase and the shape of the flowers and what's going to work. And so, and also, like, where are you going to put the bouquet? Because if you're going to put it on your table, then people are going to be seeing it from kind of underneath, like from a very low angle. So you don't want all the flower blooms to be only visible from the top. You want some shorter.
That makes sense.
So that they can. So I would just say you pick a good vase, whether it's, if you go super wide and you only have a few flowers, it's going to look very empty. But if you do a thin vase and you have tons, then they're all going to be like poking out the top just because it's so narrow. So it's all about finding what vase works with them and then trying to look at it from different angles and snip the flowers to different sizes. So it's not like, you've just plopped them all in one. And that part, I mean, I really don't think it's as complicated as people think. I think once you sit down and you're like, how do I want this to look? And you start working with it, you can actually pick up on some things pretty fast. It's just about, just putting some thought into the way it looks.
Well, that's a good tip, to sit down and look at it. Most of the time we're standing when we arrange flowers, and it could be this big, beautiful thing from up above. But when you sit down, you're looking at all stems. The other thing is it being too high. I've made that mistake before where we have a nice dinner, the table is beautiful, and we're all trying to peer through this arrangement or lean to the side to try to see the person across from us. So not that there's not a place for a big, beautiful arrangement on a table, but if you can't see your guests,
it makes it awkward.
Makes it really awkward. So a lower down where you can see across it, or maybe move it when dinner starts or something.
And that's why, that's my favorite kind of arrangement, is one that's super low. So the kind of vase where you're like, how would I even put a flower in that and have it stick up? You pick something super low and put chicken wire in it or floral foam. And then that way you can snip the flowers. They're super short and make it actually really full and wide, but you can see over it. And so, I mean, chicken wire is amazing. I love chicken wire.
Where do you buy this?
Oh, man. I think I got like a huge roll from like Moscow Building Supply or something. Just, building supply kind of places.
And then floral foam?
I'm sure Walmart. Yeah, Walmart would have floral foam.
Okay.
I know people are big on, I don't know, it's like this thing right now of being anti-floral foam because it's bad for the environment.
Okay, I wouldn't know.
I don't care so much, but I do actually prefer the chicken wire just because it's a little bit easier to work with.
Do you use floral tape with both of those to keep it in place?
Yeah, I would, although not, if you look at floral tape, it's a different kind of thing. Normally floral tape you use around bouquets and it's not actually sticky. So it wouldn't stick to the vase. If you use there's a different kind of tape that is still for flowers, but if you just Google floral tape, they'll probably give you whatever you'd wrap around a bouquet.
Okay. So what is the other one called? Or do you know?
I don't know. I mean, it would just be like, I'm trying to think where I'd get it. I would get it probably at Walmart or Michael's or, just something like that. And you can tell, make sure it's sticky. That's the main thing. If you order just a pack of floral tape, it'll probably come and you'll be like, how does this?
Right. This doesn't work.
Because it sticks to itself. You stretch it out and then it'll only really stick to itself. So when you're wrapping a bouquet, it's really good, but it won't stick to a vase.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you in the past have done arrangements that are all different sizes, but one of the cutest arrangements, your weekly arrangements that you did, were in a tin can, which was a really fun idea. I've never thought of that before. It's free because you just save your can from soup or something like that. And honestly, you use the teensier like tomato paste ones, right?
Yeah, I'd use kind of all of them.
Or you use different sizes.
Yeah, but
okay. I remember the teeny tomato paste can.
Yeah.
That's probably a real small arrangement. And then the regular can for the next one. But tell us about that. How did you come up with that? And did you just leave it silver, or did you wrap it, or what did you do?
I did all sorts of things. It was originally my mom's idea because she, I don't know when she started doing that, but the truth is I just think they're the perfect dimensions for the kind of bouquet I like, because particularly like if you get like, I'm thinking like a can of beans, is that like 14 ounces? It's just perfect because you can fit all the flowers in diagonally enough that, you know, you're seeing them from the side. Like when you're sitting at a table, you're not looking at the tops of the flowers, but it's also not going to be too high. And you can fit a lot in them really easy. So they were just perfect. Like I could whip them out so fast. And yeah, I would sometimes spray paint them gold, but normally just take the gross lining off and scrub it down first and just leave it silver. I like that. Sometimes tie a ribbon around it. Yeah. Or, you know, sometimes I would put paper on it, like a paper design. So yeah, they're just perfect. So that would be like my go-to was the like 14-ounce can of black beans. That was ideal. And then it'd be like the tomato
and your
paste.
Mom used plenty of those for her soup nights.
She would set all the soup night cans aside. It was perfect. But yeah, like the little tomato paste. I don't know how many. Is that 4 ounces?
I think it's 4 or 6, maybe 6.
6 probably. Yeah. And those are perfect too for like teeny little bouquets that you just want to have one next to your sink or whatever. You can fit like maybe one big rose and then a couple little things and some greenery. It's just like a cute little bouquet.
Which is perfect for taking to a friend who's sick or a neighbor or
I
just
love doing
anything like that. And it's not expensive to go and buy that amount of flowers. Or at events I've seen you've taken either the 6 ounce or the 14 ounce, either one, but just making smaller arrangements and putting them down a long table, multiple ones down a long table for events. And that's really fun too, because you don't have to try to come up with one big massive arrangement. You actually have them spread out and everybody can enjoy really their own arrangement.
Yeah. And if you do the little tomato paste ones, it's so easy to make them all identical, where it's like, okay, each one gets 1 rose, 1 spray rose, 2 sprigs of eucalyptus, and, you know, whatever. And so then you just make them all identical and it's perfect. And what I love about it is, especially at events, you can just give them away to guests because it's not like an expensive antique vase or anything. You know, it's just like, this is a tin can. And then they can throw it away.
Exactly.
Because I hate having like
a few days and then toss the whole thing.
Yeah, I hate having like this buildup of weird glass vases that you're like, why do I have this?
And if you invested money in, say, 20 vases for a big event, giving them all away would be pretty costly. Yeah. Or asking for them back after people took them home. That's just way too much of a hassle.
I just always felt like buying vases was not worth it. I mean, obviously you want to have vases for your own home. Like I love having some antique ones that you would use. But for events, I, for the most part, prefer to just have, you know, unless someone has a crazy budget where they want to buy all the vases, it's just nice to have something that's disposable but kind of cute still. And you can also, like, I would give them to people and they would plop it in one of their own vases where it fits. Like if you have a perfect vase that you can just, like my grandma had one that was just the right size, so you could just pop the can inside and then you don't have to bother arranging it and it's in your cute vase, it doesn't get dirty, then you could just throw away the tin can.
Such a good idea. Yeah. Did you put something in the can like floral foam, or just the can really was small enough to hold the flowers where you put them? Yeah,
that's what I loved, is I just felt like it was the perfect proportion because it would just hold everything in place. Like it was snug enough in there that nothing was going to be falling all over, but also loose enough that you're not like trying to jam things in and it won't go in at the right angle and everything. You know, I've had like bottles, like if you try to do something in a bottle, you're like, all you can do is put one stem in there and it's going to be upright. And that's just, so the narrower the vase, the more you run into that problem. But this is just wide enough that you can do what you want, but tight enough that it holds it. So I love it.
Okay. Fabulous idea. I think the one time that I received one from her mom brought me one. I was recovering from COVID. After we moved here. We've been here a little over 4 years now. And we came, it was probably 2021 late summer of 2021 that we moved here. And that winter it was going around really bad here. And I, of course, got it.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
was so sick. And when Becca found out a few days in, or who even knows, somewhere in the midst of it all, I ended up with a Hero Merkle tin can flower arrangement. And I still will, to this day, tell you that I think that was the turning point. Like, okay, I can make it out of this.
They brought healing.
Yes. The flowers of cheer are here. I can do this. The fever will break. So they are very cheerful, and it's very fun to receive a arrangement from someone. So these are very simple to make, and I will have to post a picture because I know you have some pictures, and they're just the cutest things. Okay, so let's move on to other tips. We've talked about the height, looking at it, sitting down, cutting at an angle so it can drink water well. Make sure you cut it as soon as possible. Don't wait overnight like I did with the flowers for a shower. What else would you say? Would you have anything else, like types of flowers to buy or variety of things, greenery to fill, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of a matter of taste as far as the variety, because my mom loves, I think, to do like mostly all one flower, where it's all roses and then maybe like one other thing and some greenery or whatever. And I prefer, like, I love just all sorts of variety. So for me, I like to have like one hefty kind of round flower, like a rose or like a chrysanthemum or peony or something that's like round and very stable. And then I like a tall one that would be like a snapdragon or stock. I love stock. It smells just beautiful. And it's one that you don't really find in grocery stores, but I would order it. And it's my favorite thing ever.
And it's stock as in S-T-O-C-K.
Yeah, it's a horrible name. It's such a pretty flower.
It sounds like cattle. But
yeah, I know. It's so sad.
Like the stock on the ranch.
I know.
It's the name of
and it's just
of greenery.
No, flower.
It's a flower.
Yeah, it's tall, kind of like a snapdragon, but it has just gorgeous smell. Like if you have stock in the room, you smell it.
Okay.
So it's very strong and it's just beautiful.
Okay.
And so, but yeah, so I would do something kind of tall, and then I'd have like a filler flower. That's kind of my recipe, is like something round, something tall, and then a filler, which would be like maybe a spray rose or, Lisianthus or just kind of something small and kind of like a unique shape, generally, like something that is just a little bit outside of the box. It's not round, it's not tall, it's just kind of droop, or it's a spray of something just fun that will
to make it interesting.
Yeah. And then a greenery. Like I love a greenery. And one tip I would say is, like, I learned this just working with all these different flowers. You realize they all have different tendencies, where it's like, like for instance, stock. It took me forever to realize this, but if you lay it out on the table for like 2 minutes, not very long at all, it starts to curl the top. And I've never seen that with any other flower, where it's perfectly healthy. It's not that it's dying. It's just that the whole thing has just bent, so it starts to face down. And I've never seen that with any other flower. But so it's like with stock, I just want to get it into water as soon as possible. And it's also one where if you spray it, it'll start molding. Whereas if you spray a different kind of flower, it might drink through it. Like a hydrangea, if you spray it with water, it'll drink through the petals.
Okay.
Versus stock, it's just going to kill it. So I just would Google, like, if you have a mixed bouquet, like, okay, just make sure I know And you learn so fast. You're like, okay, I know how to work with a rose now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know how to work with hydrangea. And it's just all very basic. It's just kind of tips for like, and a quick Google will tell you quite a lot about that.
Depending on your flower.
Yeah.
What do you put in the water? I know when you get grocery store flowers, they often come with the packet. I can't remember what it's called, but the
like
powder that you
flower food kind of thing. Yeah.
That you pour in the water. Some people swear by Sprite or something like that, like pouring 7-Up in the water or Sprite, which I never have on hand. Do you do anything? With your water?
I've never done the Sprite. If I got flowers from Safeway, I'd put the food in. I think it generally is like food, and then there's normally some bleach in it. So I would do this thing where I would do bleach and lemon juice and sugar. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the lemon juice was for.
I'm surprised at the bleach.
Yeah, no, the bleach is amazing. You got to be careful. Like, you don't want to drown it. It's just like a tablespoon in a, yeah, I mean, depending on the size of the thing. But the water gets so murky. I would change the water as often as you can and especially like if you have leaves underwater,
it mold real quick.
Yeah, I would just take all the leaves off that are going to be. That's a huge tip, actually. I mean, that drives me nuts when you see it's like, it just makes me so like, don't put the leaves underwater.
I've learned that the hard way. They just get slimy and the water's gross. And
there's no reason to put them on, just take them off.
Flowers start to die.
Yeah. And the flowers will die because there's too much on there, but also the water gets so murky and it also looks
terrible if you can see the water. I know some vases are colored where maybe you can't see that, but if it's clear and you're trying to have dinner and it looks like something dead swimming around, it's not real appetizing.
Yeah, no. So always take the leaves off. But and then the bleach will just help with that. So even just having the stems in the water for a while, they're going to start to get all mildewy.
So maybe Google a recipe online based on the size you're doing.
Yeah.
I know the flower food, it has something like this packet for 4 cups of water. So I'm sure there's something like that online, like 4 cups of water, and this is the amount of bleach, this is the amount of lemon juice.
You don't want to go crazy.
Salt too?
Sugar, because the sugar would be the food, and the bleach is cleaning. I don't know what the lemon juice is. Maybe it's food. I think that was just something I got.
Makes it bright. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cheers it up.
Make sure you put the lemon juice in. Very important.
It's very important. The top tip of the whole podcast. We'll be right back after a quick message from today's sponsors. Are you searching for hands-on activities to help your kids explore the practical side of science? Look no further than your kitchen. Inquisicook blends food science and culinary arts into an engaging program that puts delicious food on the family table. Let Inquisicook do the teaching with lesson videos, reliable recipes, and assessment tools that put students on track for success. Their online platform is easy to navigate and optimized for mobile, so the learning experience can move from the classroom to the kitchen without a hitch. Inquisicook turns curious students into intuitive cooks, not just recipe followers. Say goodbye to the tyranny of the ingredients list and say hello to utilizing what's in season, what's on sale, or what's in the fridge. Visit inquisicook.com to view sample lessons, then check out the recipe gallery to see just how crave-worthy science can be. Are you looking for a new approach to help your children understand complicated biblical concepts? Palma Storybooks offers retellings of Bible stories that engage young Christian minds through rhyme and vivid illustrations without sacrificing biblical details. With faith-filled content and timeless lessons, these storybooks help set your children up for success in understanding God's Word. To check out what Palma has to offer, visit palmastorybooks.com and find them on Instagram at Palma Storybooks. Well, I recently was able to be a part of a workshop for Knights Fest. Logos School does a 3-day event, I think it is, where they call it Knights Fest. I think I've talked about this on here before when Max was a senior in high school, and it's so much fun where they let the kids they're not skipping class. They're still going to school. But instead of class, they're doing all kinds of breakout workshops and speakers and competitions, and it ends in a feast. Very fun. Well, Catherine Church, who I've had on here before, she arranged flowers. I guess she still arranges flowers, but I mean for more of a business way back when, and is very good at it. And I heard she was doing a flower arranging workshop, and I asked, can I just come and help? Quotation, air quotes. And just listen in. Well, it was so fun because I showed up, and for the people helping, she also had a bowl and floral foam and tape and enough flowers that we could also make an arrangement. So the tables were lined with girls who were making an arrangement, but I also got to make one, and it was so much fun. I learned so much. It was the best arrangement I've ever made, and it incorporates the tips that you're talking about. She did a handout, and her 3 top tips were elbow, angle, and triangle. She said to put your elbow on the table, fist up, and make sure that your bouquet is lower than this or about that height. Just where if you're having dinner, and we talked about that, just that you can see each other. You don't want it so tall that you're peering through the trees, so to speak. Yeah. And then the angle, cutting at a 45-degree angle. And so the girls they all had scissors, and as they took it out of water, they cut it and put it immediately into the floral foam that had been soaked in water, which is that another tip? Do you always soak your floral foam before using it?
Yes, definitely. And I also learned you let it sink into the water. You don't ever push it, because if you push the foam into the water, so you get like a bucket of water and plop your foam in, and you want to just shove it down so it'll get all wet. But if you do that, there'll be air pockets in there that don't get wet. So you just let it, give it its own time, and
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Okay, because I wasn't a part of that task. Other people were cutting the foam and putting the foam in, so I didn't observe how they did it.
Yeah.
So you cut it to fit your container. Put water in the bottom and let it just soak down or sink down. Yeah. Do you pour water on the top afterwards?
Yeah, I've never had, it's not going to sink to the bottom probably. It's just going to slowly kind of submerge itself. And so then you can add some on top. I just wouldn't ever force it down.
Okay, because it creates air bubbles. Yeah. That's so interesting. And then the arrangements we made, she recommended a triangle where your flowers are different heights to create balance and interest in the arrangement. And so it could be that your snapdragon or your fern or something like that added some height in the middle, but you could do it off center too, where it was like a different shaped triangle. And don't get me to say the word. I'm trying to think of my geometry triangles to know the right the right term for that triangle. But where you do have say one taller part and it's more of a triangle shape to create interest. And so I did that with a fern and a snapdragon, I think is what we had, more to the side, and then just different arrangements. And in the end, mine was in a bowl. It did have a kind of a triangle shape. You wanted to call it a shape, and it did have a lot of interest. But the key was what you were saying. There had to be a lot of flowers lower down all the way around. Yeah. In order to be able to sit and it be beautiful. Yeah. And it took way more filler greenery than I thought it would. Yeah. I used a lot of eucalyptus, which was beautiful. And there were a couple other different choices. But I put a ton in, and then there were still empty spots. And the other tip was just to look all the way around it, because people are sitting all around the table. So you don't want to be working on the front and then you're done. Yeah. Turn it around, look at all sides. The back shouldn't look like the back.
I've had not that bad, sort of nightmares where the bridesmaids would You make a clear front to the bouquet, and then they end up walking down the aisle with it backwards. And you're like, no, it's just this bald patch on the back. It's not what I meant.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah. Okay, any other tips that we should have as home flower designers?
Yeah, I feel like Catherine's tips are pretty straightforward. Those are the best ones. And one thing I did kind of learn is you never want to like force the flower into something that it's just not going to do, because you want to work with the flower, not against it, which take with that what you will.
Interpret that how you will.
Work with the flower.
Not against it.
But I would have times where I'm like, I'm trying to make this.
Book.
Yeah. I'm like trying to make this snapdragon do something that it's just not going to do. It's going to be tall and pointy, and you can't stab it into the middle of the bouquet and make it into like the rose. Like it just is not going to do that. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like once you start doing it, then you kind of see what I mean. Otherwise, it might be sort of an abstract.
Abstract wonder.
Yeah.
Well, those are good tips. Do you cut with something specific? Should we invest in specific flower clippers or just regular scissors? I've always used regular scissors, but for woody stems, I feel like I'm probably really dulling my scissors. I've had some flowers, I'm trying to remember what they are, but just like, oh, it's as hard to cut through. Yeah. So would you say invest in clippers? Are they cheap?
I have this one brand of clippers that I just love. And it's Willow Crossley, who's a florist in the UK. And I think they're called succateurs or something fancy. I guess they're British. That has to be fancy. But I love them because if you get clippers that are kind of dull, that what they end up doing is just kind of squishing the stem, and that actually closes it. So it kind of has the opposite effect that you want. You want it to be as clean of a slice as possible. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of mangle the stem. So I've had clippers before. You're like, I'm really just kind of like mangling this stem to try to get it off. And the duller they get, the more it's like that. So scissors, they're fine, especially on like a tulip that's so soft. But if you're trying to do like a rose with scissors, it's harder. So these are like, they're like scissors in that they don't have the spring that a pair of clippers would have. So you're not like, I don't know, grinding into it. It's like you're slicing it, but they're so sharp. And
interesting.
I don't know. I'll
need to look this up.
Yeah, I'm sure she's still selling them. I got like several.
Okay.
But Willow Crossley, yeah.
Willow Crossley. That's important for when you're pulling a lot of greenery from outside, or not just greenery, but outdoor type things for your arrangement, because a lot of times they're from bushes or trees that have a woody stem on there. I've had to go and get the like hedge trimmer type things to cut through. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, you know the flowers that we used? I'm taking credit for this, that you used for Belle's wedding.
Oh yeah. I'm sure you were involved. That was a all hands on deck snowball bush.
The snowball bush.
Yeah.
I don't know how those stems were. They may have been
very woody. Yeah,
they're woody, but also the hawthorn tree. How can I? How could I have forgotten this?
Yes,
like the beautiful pink flowers were from the hawthorn tree.
Yeah, yeah.
And weren't those?
Yeah, those are very woody,
very hard to cut. So anyway, I remember having a tree that I could get to, had access to, and got some of those and put them all around my house.
That's right. And I do remember that.
I don't remember how I cut them unless I went and got hedge trimmers, because I know my scissors did not cut them.
So for Belle's wedding, I was doing the flowers. She wanted peonies, and it was June 11th. There should have been peonies.
Yes.
Like, I was like, yep, no problem. And the cutting garden has just so many peonies for so cheap. It was like, we're going to do peonies. It'll be great. And of course, they're not blooming. So we're in a mad dash around town, chopping down snowball bushes.
It was such a long winter.
Wild. Spring or whatever.
Late spring.
Yes,
it just rained and rained and was cool and rained and rained. And it was just very sad that her peonies were not ready. But you ordered
gorgeous.
Some.
Yeah, I ordered hers in case. So she had peonies, and then all the bridesmaids had snowball bush, which I actually thought was just gorgeous.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was actually maybe better than everyone having peonies, because hers stood out, but the snowball arrangements were incredible. And I want to say, unless somehow I just missed it, I do not think the South has snowball bushes.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was a really fun.
It looks like a hydrangea. Yeah, like it's.
Yeah, we have hydrangeas, but I don't think we have snowball bushes.
Yeah.
They were just gorgeous.
I do remember they gave me just the wildest allergy attack the night before.
Well, you trying to source them was also a story.
Yes. It was like the whole family, everybody out behind a gas station. Like, can we cut down your snowball bush, please?
They were blooming at least. And
Yeah.
so
no, it
the
was a good time.
behind the gas station raid.
Yeah, it was like late at night, and my mom had told us she asked permission, so she's like, "No, really, it's fine, just go." So it's like we arrive and in the dark.
Everybody has their hedge clippers.
We're just like, it's fine.
It's fine, everyone. No one needs to call the police.
Don't worry about it.
We're just cutting flowers in the dark. Of course, in the spring here, it's pretty dark pretty early. So you feel like you're really doing something. It's like 6:00 at night.
Yeah, it's true.
That's wild. Okay, well, let's move on to your NSA catering.
Sure, yeah.
So you graduated from college, and right out of the gate, did they offer you this job? Were they like, Hero's available? we need her.
Not really like that. I mean, I applied for it and I got it. It's basically this soup night, other soup night adjacent events. So like faculty lunches and breakfasts and like prospective student breakfast and lunches, things like that.
How many people do you serve typically?
Soup night, probably over 100. I mean, that's generous. I always think, well, some people want seconds, and maybe the family who's hosting is going to have it. So I end up estimating over 100. And then the other lunches tend to be more like 20 to 60, depending on, what the event is. But
and now they've broken up soup night where it's actually not the whole college. Mm-hmm. Was it the whole college when your parents were doing it at their house?
It was just freshmen, but they broke it up into 3 different groups of freshmen. So there's 3 different halls at NSA. So now it's 3 faculty members will host 1/3 of the freshman class. But then the caterer, me, would cook all of it and they all pick it up. And
you do a different, if it's in 3s, you do a different third each week?
No, I do all 3 each week. So it would just be like I make 3 pots of soup and then 3 faculty members come pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you do bread and sides and all of that too?
I just do bread and then a dessert and then sometimes like toppings that would go with it. So, and like honey butter, I'll do with the bread.
Of course. Honey butter is the best.
Yeah, it is.
So do you have any tips for cooking on a large scale? What have you learned? Do you have any takeaways for trying to bring in enough food for 100 people, process it, clean it all up? Yeah. What would you say you've learned from this last year?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a very chaotic. I'm not the person who's going to have it all prepped and everything. I've learned so much. I have learned, at least as far as soup night goes, and other events as well, but I just have to have it all shopped the day before. So especially because I like to use Walmart delivery or pickup. It's just my favorite thing because you can see how much it costs and everything. The problem is I've had times where, I order everything and I pick it up the morning of and they're like, we only had 1 chuck roast and you ordered 11. Like this happened the other day.
This is an emergency.
And I'm like, I got to go source 10 chuck roasts.
Oh my.
So,
and Costco's not near us.
No, yeah.
It's a good 45 minutes away.
Yeah. No, so you're kind of host if something. So I always now order it like day before, make sure you have everything. And then if it's like, we have half the meat. And that was funny because I had 2 events that day. It was a soup night and a lunch on the same day. And they had 1/10 of the chuck roast and maybe like 1/3 of the sausage.
How do you not get stressed out? How do you not panic? My heart rate increased when you said that.
Well, I think, I have so much more respect for my mom now because she did this for years without a kitchen. Like literally, our kitchen was not really
under construction.
Yeah. And she just did it alongside a full-time job. Like she'd come racing home after teaching all day at school and
to the
whip
Walmart
out
delivery on her porch.
Yes.
When they finally started doing that.
Yeah.
She was going to the store
I don't know how
that.
how truly I'm like, how did you do it? And so I don't know, whenever I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster, it's like, you know what,
Back in the day.
It works out. Mom could do it. I can do it with a commercial kitchen, surely. But
it's kind of like us looking back on Little House on the Prairie. Well, if, the laundry or something. Well, if Ma Ingalls could do it,
then surely I
can
make a pasta.
Surely I can figure out how to get the clothes washed once a week. Or by the end of the week or whatever it is. We can figure this out.
I know.
We're not having to go pluck chickens and process them from scratch or kill a cow.
I know.
We can figure out how to source a roast.
Yeah.
So you try to make sure you have all food the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're missing something, source it.
Yeah.
And then what else?
Yeah. I think just as far as not getting stressed out about it, especially with the events I'm doing, it's such low stakes at the end of the day. And I've also realized, I've never had any true disasters. And it all works out. And at the end of the day, if it's not somebody's favorite soup, it's you're a college freshman who got free food. It's going to be okay.
Right.
And nobody's ever going to sit down and be like, well, this was a 5 out of 10.
My standards.
And I think so. Before I started the catering job, I did the Grace Agenda. There was that huge picnic that they do. Mm-hmm. I did a third of that, which was 500. Just a third of it was that. So, and that was,
wow.
That was such a good, because after doing that, I was like, well, soup for 100 is nothing.
You can do anything after that.
And it was not at all posh. I remember, because I made pesto pasta.
It was delicious.
Well, I'm glad that people say that, but quite literally, when I arrived, I arrived after a week of making pesto pasta. I arrived at the park with a truck full of pesto, and I was mortified. I was like, this is disgusting. And I'm so
I never
sorry.
Want to see it again,
I
smell it again.
I was humiliated. I thought this was the grossest thing. I was like, nobody could ever want this.
No, it was delicious.
And it, at the end of the day, it was actually, people are okay having some pesto pasta.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
No, it's truly, I have created a disgusting meal. And it's just when you've been staring at it for that long, and you're all hyped up about it, that you think everybody is going to sit down and rate this meal, when in reality, it's it's going to be okay.
Right. Everyone is Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Show up. Language included.
I know.
We're going to tear this apart.
What kind of a ridiculous meal have you given me?
Exactly. Which is not true. When people show up and can just eat and visit and talk, having to do zero work themselves, zero cleanup, it tastes really good. It really elevates the taste.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I love making things in bulk, because I do think of it as for everybody there, they're, saved paying for one meal. Each person doesn't experience anything more than just, I didn't have to buy lunch today. Mm-hmm. For you, it's this astronomical feat of how do I make all of this for 500 people? And I love that, because it is just a way, that's what it is to be gracious as a Christian, is how can I, I'm willing to extend myself so far just so that you just don't have to buy lunch,
all these people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, for their entire families, children included, don't have to go buy lunch.
And it's such a little thing, and I think that's why it's kind of humbling to do it, because you're nobody's, while nobody's going to come away and be that was the worst thing ever, they're also not going to come away and be wow, what chef?
Best meal we've ever had.
Who could be responsible for? It's no, it's just it's just a kindness that nobody's gonna remember that, but you will. And I don't know. It just, the stakes really are low with something like that. It's different if you're the person behind an elaborate banquet, but I'm just responsible for the comfort food for some college students.
But it is a gift you're giving away, and it's your time, it's your effort, it's the chaos, it's the sourcing when you got one roast out of 12 or whatever. And like you said, it's things you remember and grow from. And a lot of those things, similar to when we cook for company coming over, are known only to you.
Yeah.
The trials and the tribulations and the things that you want to complain about.
Yeah.
But in the end, if you can maintain like what you're doing right now and talking about just having that can-do attitude, cheerful, I'm going to problem solve. If you can maintain that graciousness, then you are giving a gift to those that you are serving. That's a wonderful gift. But if you have a lot of I hate this in your heart, which might translate into, and kind of hate you for being here and requiring this
what
of
are you
me.
doing? I know. I feel
It can really turn ugly.
That's one of the biggest things I've learned is like, I can't have my pride wrapped up in this because it's just, I've been humbled so many times. You're like, I thought this was going to be a delicious, beautiful, elegant thing. And you're like, well, maybe nobody will ever think about that food again. Yes. But, it's still a gift nonetheless. And you do grow from it.
Yes,
I've
you do grow. I have learned to take the mistakes, take those moments where it's like, oh, I hope everyone forgets this. And because used to when I was younger, I would just kind of hold on to those and it would injure my pride. And I would just think too much of them. Like, not woe is me, but just how terrible I am for pulling such a horrible whatever off. This was just such a failure. I'm such a failure. I think, as I've grown over the years, just you can remember those moments for a time, like just enough to grow from. Yeah. Like, okay, I need to change this. Maybe I should do this different, or I need to, let's say you decided the morning of to try to go get roasts and now you can't get them. Okay, then maybe you say, oh, okay, I need to do this the day before or 2 days before. There are things to learn. And then you let it go. Yeah. You just have to let it go. There's no more focusing on it and saying, woe is me, I'm terrible. I am undone.
I know. Yeah. Just move on. It's going to be okay. Yes. Nobody actually really cared that much. Yeah.
Well, speaking of moving on, we really do need to jump into her questions because she is going to answer some of our favorite questions about specific menus, specific things to cook. I don't actually know what she's going to talk about. So you can talk about this with your menu if it applies. But if it doesn't, jump in and tell us a little bit about baking for Sword and Shovel. Sword and Shovel, as I mentioned in the beginning, is New St. Andrews bookshop and coffee shop, and a place for students, and whoever to sit and visit, and just a typical coffee shop environment. So she does baked goods for their case. Any refrigerated items yet?
No, they're not. That's what makes it tricky is they're not licensed to do anything really other than the pastries. Okay. So it's got to all be like, what is it, shelf stable? So, and so that's actually been one of the biggest learning curves for me with this whole catering job is, and it's not because I could bake. That's not the problem. The problem is it's Let me clarify.
There is a problem. Another growing learning curve.
No. What I do right now, their system, because I just work part-time with this. And so I do all the baking, and then it
sounds part-time. But carry on.
Well, I'm trying to make it part-time. So I make all the pastries in kind of like one big cooking day, and then they go in the freezer. And then and see that already, I'm like, they're just not going to be as good because they're not fresh. Like, and I know lots of shops do that, but so it's been kind of a learning curve for me of like what actually is going to be okay coming out of the freezer. There's just certain things where like, there's cookies I've tried where they come out and you're like, well,
they need to be fresh baked.
That's just not a good cookie.
No one's going to pay $3 for that or whatever it is.
I think I did like an oatmeal chocolate chip cookie or something. For some reason, it was just like, no, that's not going to work. And there's so many things where I'm like, it was great when it came out of the oven, but that doesn't mean it can freeze well. Right. So that's been kind of the main thing is like figuring out how can you store things and fit it all in the freezer. That's another thing. I do coffee cake and I like made it all. It was beautiful, gorgeous coffee cake, put it all in the freezer. I had to stack it because it was so much of it. And so, of course, it all comes out flat as a piece of paper. And I just remember people being like, wow, the coffee cake this week is a little like flatter.
Different.
Oh,
Did you try coffee cake pancakes?
And you got to sell it. Like,
well, yeah.
It's like, well, that's what it is. And so,
right. You can't waste. I don't know how many.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Cakes.
It was a lot of coffee cake. So yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, but I have learned. I've kind of gotten into a better system. I'm still like, I could really improve with this. I'm still learning, but I've gotten it to a point where I'm like, I do love the coffee cake. That's one that I think most people haven't just had at a coffee shop, you know, and it does freeze pretty well because it's moist. Like it's not going to be so dry. And then I do scones, like some Ina Garten scones that I kind of tweaked a little bit. This is a tip that I have learned actually, is when you're baking for I would say just an average group of people, but especially college students, like they don't want anything that could be a little out there, like anything, no nuts. Like if they find a nut in their scone, I talked to so many people who are like, I liked it, but I don't really want a pecan in my scone. And I'm like, why don't you? I love a pecan in my scone, but like it needs to be simple and not anything unexpected. They want a cinnamon roll, I've tweaked,
sprinkled pecans on top.
Yeah, I've made this fancy. It's like, no, they just don't want to be surprised by that. So it really needs to be like exactly what it looks like and no fancy additions of like, but this scone secretly is not very sweet and it has nuts in it. And, you know, like
something more gourmet is not for the college student world.
No. And I mean, it's like, I'm sure some people, lots of people would, but when your target audience is, like college kids or high school kids or whatever, you know, it's just that's not the way to go.
That's actually a great tip across the board when you're having a large group over to your house too. Because it's a mixture of kids, teenagers, adults. Maybe save the more gourmet things if it's an all-adult gathering versus you're trying to get teenagers to eat this. You don't want a bunch of your hard-cooked or hard-cooked scones. That doesn't that's not good at all.
Well, don't do that either.
Your hard-cooked scones would go in the trash, but for a different reason.
I know, but the fancy scone, this is another thing I realized is like when you give somebody free food, that's a different category than when they have to buy it. Because if I give somebody a cookie that is like not the best looking cookie, but it tastes really good, I don't really mind that at all. But you can't put it in a display case and I would be like, the cookie.
Right.
Hero's famous chocolate
And by the way, you owe me $4 plus tax.
Yes, exactly. Like nobody's going to look at it and be like, oh, sign me up.
Exactly. I've never dissected, say, someone's croissant at a church event, but I would dissect it if I bought it from a bakery for $5 or $6.
Yeah.
I love chocolate croissants.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you've made chocolate croissants, so I probably shouldn't say this because I don't know how you make them, but
no.
I prefer 2 bars of chocolate instead of 1.
I do 3.
Okay. I have bought a chocolate croissant for way too much money, and then it's like, there's no chocolate in here.
It's like
there's
deep.
Like one little teensy
I think I did 1 bar the first time, and it was like, that won't cut it.
That's not going to work. A woman after my own heart.
Yeah, no, I've been doing croissants, and you got to have a lot of chocolate.
3. I would buy your croissants anytime.
Well, I don't know. Let's not give me some time to make sure
the croissants.
Yeah.
You say 3 bars, I'm in. Okay, well, let's move into a favorite menu you would serve. To find out Hero's favorite menu, you're going to have to tune in next time. We keep talking. So until next time, bye for now. Be a time traveler. Sail the seas with Odysseus, escape prison with Edmond Dantes, and defend the innocent with Ivanhoe. Join us at timetravelersLiterature.com. Enter a whole world of story where books uncover the riches of other books, where you discuss classic stories with other homeschool students, and where you are the time traveler, appreciating the work in its own literary tradition, its time in history, and its culture. Find out more and enroll in courses at timetravelersLiterature.com. heyhero.com. Before you go, if you enjoyed this episode, take a second to follow the show and leave a review. It really helps the podcast grow and reach new listeners. Thanks for listening, and if someone came to mind during this conversation, be sure to share this episode with them.